everyone, and welcome to Season 6, Episode 36 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches of 2021 with match number 15 on our list, which is the KOD Openweight title match between the champion, Konosuke Takeshita, and the challenger, Yuji Okabayashi, from the DDT and Nevermind 2021 event held on December 26th of 2021. This match sneaking in right near the end of the year and positioning very high in the list because it is a stellar contest. So Takeshita, at the time of my recording this video in May of 2022, he is starting to set the wrestling world on fire in his appearances through AEW, and they are doing a tremendous job presenting him thus far. I saw it as a comparison to Yoshihiro Tajiri being brought into ECW or Masato Tanaka being brought into ECW, where you bring in a foreign talent, you immediately put him in the ring with a very high quality opponent that he can showcase his skills, in which he was done on Dynamite with Adam Page, the AEW champion at the time, and make that match about showcasing that new talent to immediately put him on everybody's radar as one to watch out for. It's so funny to me watching this man's career grow and blossom into what it is now. When I first started seeing him, he, very, thin frame, very much wrestled like somebody that, was, I don't want to say like a cosplay wrestler, because don't get it twisted. He was great then too, but very much somebody that like studied like El Generico indie and pro wrestling guerrilla matches and was like, that's what I want to do. And I'm not even just talking about like signature offense. Takeshita has come out and said that, El Generico was such a huge influence. He, I believe wrestled him early on in his career as well. But like you could really see it. So when he started, he was teaming with Tetsuya Endo, who's now also a main eventer in DDT. And I was like, Endo, like this dude watched AJ Styles, Takeshita, this dude watched El Generico, and like now they're on the come up. He has turned into, though, Takeshita as just a high level, heavyweight, big time main event wrestler for DDT, and it's been incredible to see his growth. I'm so excited to what he brings to the table in the US and through AEW because he's still young into his career. And this match to me is kind of the apex so far of, his main event run, where he wrestles one of the most underrated professional wrestlers of the past decade in Yuji Okabayashi. Yuji is a disciple of Daisuke Sekimoto, who is somebody that I feel, also doesn't get the credit and the respect that he deserves, from fans that are maybe newer or, just starting to come on to the independents or, Japanese wrestling, or AEW or, whatever is bringing them to this sport that we love now. Sekimoto, throughout the early 2000s, going from like basically a deathmatch wrestler in Big Japan, to really bringing, that strong style, heavyweight style, and having some of the best matches of all time, for Big Japan, and Okabayashi, kind of carrying that mantle for him now. Sekimoto, his career is winding down. He can't perform to the level that, he used to just through wear and tear on that man's, large body. But, Okabayashi is, maybe at the peak of his career right now. I don't know. Maybe that's an incorrect statement, but, it really feels like this dude can be put, in main events and deliver, just as well as he did 5 years ago, if not even better. So he was put, DDT does their own version of the G1 each year. Takeshita was, in that as the, the champion. So very much like the G1, my last video, I talked about how it works with the champion in the G1, where, if somebody beats you, it kind of, means that they're going to get a title shot. Okabayashi went to a 30-minute time limit draw with Takeshita in the tournament. It made perfect sense that, champion couldn't beat him. He couldn't beat the champion in 30. So, you know, we're going to go to an elongated title match. And that's what we got here to close the year for DDT. DDT, you know, although they do have a lot of humorous wrestling, we've seen them wrestle in theme parks and at camping grounds and on streets and everywhere in between throughout the years. They, you know, get ridiculed by people like Jim Cornette and you know, people that just hate fun, I guess, but they do produce some exceptional, serious pro wrestling. A couple of their matches made my season 1 countdown for 2020, so I was super happy to see DDT, and they had a lot of great matches throughout 2021, but this was really the standout. It was on another level, by far their match of the year, and the only one of theirs, you know, making the countdown, but really well deserved. And what I love about this match is it feels like that classic kind of All Japan heavyweight title fight where the champion is, you know, really having to kind of out-punch, you know, or punch up from where he is to hang with the more experienced, stronger, and tougher challenger. And that's exactly what Takeshita does in this match, and it really accentuates, you know, just how much he's developed and how much he has to will himself to get the win. And this match has, you know, a very high-octane start. Yuji immediately shows the strength advantage with the big tackle. We see that, you know, so many times when you're going like power versus speed in a wrestling match. Takeshita, you know, kind of almost in a way has a chip on his shoulder in this match where he has to prove, like, you know, I'm the top dog. I am the heavyweight champion of this promotion. I'm fighting a true heavyweight in Okabayashi, but I'm going to prove that I belong. And you know what? I'm bigger than he is. I'm maybe not as strong, but I've got muscle, but I'm taller than him. And you know what? I'm going to throw down with him and have the type of match that he wants to have. And he tries to establish that really quick. You know, they do a test of strength, and he tries to use his height and leverage. I'm a really tall guy myself, so, you know, if I think back to my youth in grade school, we would do mercy fights, right? Like the knuckle lock. And I would always win, not because I was stronger than everybody, but because I was so much taller. I could just use my leverage and you know, put the pressure down on them. So, you know, he tries to do that, but Yuji just blasts him with a suplex, and that kind of causes Takeshita to regroup and think about his strategy. And he tries to slow down and grind Okabayashi with a headlock, and he, you know, holds on to that thing for all he's worth while, you know, Yuji tries to shoot him off the ropes and all of this stuff. But this match really gets into a point where, you know, Yuji just systematically breaks down this kid with Takeshita trying to do whatever he can to fight and stay in the fight, but never wavering, trying to outstrike, trying to out-suplex, trying to out-hit, you know, his opponent. And it just creates this amazing, stiff, compelling, dramatic battle that for the full 35 minutes that it goes, it leaves you captivated by, you know, the physicality that you're seeing through the screen. And I talked about that in, you know, the Noah video with Marufuji and Segura, where, you know, that video was the shortest video I've done in a while because I really didn't know how to put it too much into words. You know, the match didn't have all of these like specific little moments that I could talk about. You know, it didn't have these huge spots and these, you know, really big moves or these counter sequences or these callbacks to previous matches. But it was just two dudes beating the absolute piss out of each other to try to win a title belt. And sometimes that is all you need in wrestling. And that is exactly what we have with this match here. There's a point where, you know, Takeshita, you know, has to up his speed a little bit to try to get that advantage. And he hits a big toe pick on Hilo. And Okabayashi is so good, you know, with this selling too, of just, you know, acting rattled enough and almost like this big stumbling grizzly bear, you know, that if you run around him enough, you can maybe kind of dizzy him and confuse him a little bit and kind of get your licks in before he eventually mauls you once again. And that's what happens in this match. Takeshita goes to the El Generico playbook a little bit. He hits the Yakuza in the corner. He hits a big Blue Thunder powerbomb for 2. But, you know, he goes for like a last ride and just gets backdropped out of that and just beat down some more. You know, he gets power slammed and multiple vertical suplexes. And Okabayashi's someone, you know, his offense, it's not super flashy. He's very, very strong, but he will slam you and he will suplex you. He has, you know, the golem splash, the big splash, you know, off the top rope, which is about as fancy as it gets. Hell, his finishing move is a torture rack. Shout out Lex Luger. So, I mean, you know, a very kind of basic wrestler, but he hits hard and he delivers everything with such force that it is all so meaningful. There's like these great little moments here where Takeshita, you know, he no-sells or he tries to stay in the fight. There's a point where he starts hitting his own head against the turnbuckle to try to fire himself up and will himself back into the fight. There's a great moment where, you know, after taking so many vertical suplexes, he's finally able to counter one of Okabayashi's and hit his own. He throws knees, he throws lariats, he does, you know, whatever he can to stay in this match and survive. At one point, you know, he gets locked in that torture rack and is able to counter out into a choke. He's got this signature submission, the plus ultra that he goes for. And, you know, on paper, it seems, you know, like there's no way that, you know, Takeshita would be able to choke out or to submit, you know, someone as large with this, you know, thick of a neck as Okabayashi. But damn it, if he is not going to try to do just that. And, you know, it leads to this incredible, you know, dramatic finishing stretch where both of these guys are just meeting in the middle with lariats, and Takeshita throws this lariat where he just throws all of his body weight, like, at him. You know, he belly bumps onto the mat just throwing this lariat. And it's so great. And, you know, you could tell that the cracks, you know, have formed in the foundation, and Okabayashi slowly throughout, you know, the last quarter of this match is starting just to crumble a little bit. And if Takeshita can keep on him, you know, he can topple, you know, this mountain of a man that he's trying to face. And that's exactly what happens at the end. It's a bunch of knees. It's this amazing deadlift German suplex with this great struggle. They do so many just wonderful struggles in this match of Okabayashi trying to fight off the German and trying to fight off the plus ultra and all of this really great stuff that, again, is so basic. You know, it's not flashy, but it's so compelling and it's so enthralling. And it eventually leads to him getting, you know, caught in the plus ultra, like an octopus variant of that, you know, grounded sleeper that Takeshita does. And after this great fight, you know, eventually Okabayashi just goes out and submits to it. And it's so great because Okabayashi is someone that, you know, DDT can bring in, and they bring him in, you know, somewhat frequently from Big Japan, and they can put him in this position where, you know, just with a couple of matches, you can establish him as this incredible dominant force like they did through the G1 and build him up that he's such a viable threat, you know, for your champion. And it's so weird. I'm going to compare Konosuke Takeshita to Hulk Hogan, where, you know, this was something that we would see with Hulk Hogan, where, you know, they'd bring in a monster heel, they'd build him up for a couple months only for Hulk to topple him down. And that's what we saw with this match. But it's just, it's so great. This brutal physical battle. It's must see. One of my favorite matches of the year, obviously. And I love nothing more than just a hard-fought World Heavyweight Championship match. And that is what this is in spades. You can watch it on Wrestle Universe. You can subscribe to my channel here through YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again next time as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.